Another week, another One Piece chapter review. This one is for 1031, named Soldier of Science. And before I get into the review, if my voice sounds weird, it's because I went to a football game yesterday and I threw out my voice. But also, there is not going to be a chapter next week, I believe. Oda is going on break, so if there's not a video next week, that's why. And yeah, the chapter opens with a direct continuation of last chapter. Law and Kid getting shown after their big fight against Big Mom. No one believes that Big Mom could survive what they just did to her, but we see that both Law and Kid are very much out of energy, and they're both huffing and panting on the ground. And Law gives a final confirmation for what Kid's awaken ability is. It allows him to put magnetic fields onto other people. So that's good, because that's kind of what we thought it was, but this is concrete evidence, and it's down in what we know. But then Big Mom comes out of the metal bars that Kid put her under, and asks life or, I believe, soul, I think. It's in Japanese, but it's Ishiruku, but life or Ishiruku, which I believe is her, life or stay thing, life or leave, whatever it was. And we see that she rips the souls out of what looks like 7 beast pirates. And then she gets bigger, and she uses a year of her own lifespan, and she gets like I said, she gets bigger, and Law and Kid both point this out, and they're like, we can't do this, we're gonna go all out. And Kid says, no more holding back, we're going all out. I don't give a damn what it costs, we're going to tear her from her throne. So we're finally getting confirmation of that's why Kid is fighting this fight. It's to take Big Mom off of her throne. As what we kind of expected that, but this is, again, just concrete evidence to point that out. Because Kid is very much focused on becoming an emperor after this. And he might be put into a position where he can be. Then going to the Iwato chamber, where Appu and Drake were making their deal last chapter. They're fighting, apparently. And Drake knows how Appu's fruit works, so he can't really get Drake in any attacks. Yamato is running through this group and is saying, Drake, Appu, why is one of the Flying Six here with an informant? And Appu makes a statement, Yamato is against Kaido. Trying to win Drake over was a bust. Time to switch gears. And then goes after trying to win Yamato over. But Yamato also states, I've cut ties with Kaido, so I'm not on your side. So, I think it was just kind of a neat way to bring all three of these characters together. And then we get Yamato mistakenly attacking Drake because Yamato thinks that Drake is still on Kaido's side. Yamato then runs and tells us that the Flower Capital and Onigashima are at stake if Yamato doesn't do this, which, yes, that is what we've known. Kind of speeding through that bit, we see that CP0 has shown up where Brook and Robin are fighting, and they're here to capture her, so we kind of suspected that was going to happen eventually. And surprisingly, Robin makes a comment, even among the elites of CP0, the masked agents are in a class of their own, which makes me think they're almost like a CP Alpha or something different than just CP0. They are CP0, but that's kind of how I'm looking at it. And then we get the real meat of the chapter, which this has been happening every chapter lately, that the best part happens halfway-ish through. We get transported to where that bit is taking place. And it's Sanji running away from Queen. And we get the shot that Sanji sees a woman on the ground bleeding. And I believe one of the people that are protecting her says, how could you? She's just a young girl. You're with the rebel army, aren't you? And it would appear that they think that Sanji did it. But as we know, Sanji doesn't like when men hit women. He has never hit a woman. It's his whole thing that he can't fight women. And we get a cut to when he, I believe during Whole Cake, when his brothers beat up one of the workers for Germa, He said, "You beat her until she lost consciousness. Your sadism is disgusting. Everything about you goes against what I stand for." In this chapter, we might see that he is becoming what he doesn't stand for. Queen catches up to him, says that the pleasure hall is closed, and Sanji makes the statement that the tingling sensation has stopped. The transformation is over. And then we get to know what actually happened. I remember being lost in thought. Then he meets the girl. The girl says, "I'm sorry. I'm just a geisha from the flower capital. Kaido's men brought me here, but I'm not with them. Please don't hurt me." The next thing I knew, she was on the floor, bleeding. She had a terrified look in her eyes. And then we get the real, I guess, punch that was coming out of this. "Hey, Luffy, which version of me do you want around? My human side has always made me useless against female enemies. But as a soldier of science, I'd be able to coldly execute anyone you ordered me to. Even a beast like this would be easy to dismember. What kind of person does the Pirate King need by his side? I'm not sure I know the answer, but I've made up my mind." And we see Queen thinks that he's finally going to bust out the raid suit. And he doesn't. Instead, he tosses the raid suit on the ground and steps on it, saying, My dormant augmented abilities were awakened by wearing this damn thing. But it doesn't matter at this point. I'm not going to lose any more of myself. I'll never belong to Germa." And I haven't seen anyone talk about this, but the fact that this size explosion is just casually popping under his foot, and we don't see any negative effects towards him, might stand to reason that his Germa abilities not fully awakened, but are a decent chunk of the way through awakening. And then Queen says, "What a waste, I wanted to see you morph." Because that has been Queen's whole thing as of late, is wanting to see Sanji in the raid suit and see what the raid suit can do. And we get picked up from what Sanji is saying. "Farewell, Germa. Farewell, women's baths. I'll find my own way to end this fight." And he calls Zoro on a Den-Den, which we didn't know was going to be a thing. And then we see outside the dome, Zoro versus King, because that is still a fight that is occurring that we need to see wrap up. Zoro doesn't know how the Den-Den got on him, but Sanji says, "I slipped it into your outfit in case you got lost and you round up facing death in a corner somewhere." And Zoro says, "You're distracting me." Sanji retorts by saying, "I'll be quick, just listen. We're gonna beat the Beast Pirates." And Zoro, being Zoro, says, "Well, obviously." And Sanji continues saying, "After the dust settles, if I'm no longer myself, I want you to put me down." And Zoro is very confused. He even asks, "What? I'm not sure if I get it, but fine. If it comes to that, I'll make it swift. Now I've got something to look forward to. So that means you better not die before then." And Sanji, for one of the only times I can actually remember them being even slightly nice to each other, Sanji thanks Zoro for that. And then Sanji just disappears, is very confused, as he would be. And he makes a statement, "How did you disappear again? Is this thanks to Judge's experiments, Germa brat?" And in the last two panels of the chapter, we get Sanji saying, "Stop stoking the fire. I'm already red hot. Hell memories." So, busting out the move that he used, I think even pre-time skip. If not, he used it immediately after with Diablo Jambe. But, whoo boy, this chapter is not how do I explain? I didn't expect such a emotional chapter coming out of Sanji this chapter. I expected a very Delphoid Awakening chapter continuing off of last week. But yeah, I mean, it was still a good chapter all in all. There's just been straight bangers as of lately for the chapters. So yeah, we have the build up to chapter 1032 coming out in 2 weeks. Since again, next week we're not getting a chapter, so we get that 1 week hiatus, which I think is fine. That's 1 week out of how long has it been? We got 28, then a break, then 29, 30, and 31. So you got 3 chapters, but without ever taking a break. I think that's pretty good all in all. And I'm really excited to see what happens in the next chapter, because we could get more Sanji stuff. We could finally see Zoro versus King for the first time in a while. Not a while, it's been like, what, 5 chapters maybe? But we haven't gotten a recent update on that fight. We could get... I don't think we're going to go back to Law and Kid, since that seems to be we got a decent chunk of that fight at once, and now we're moving on to fights that we haven't seen a little bit of. So I think we're gonna see Zora versus King, and then maybe some Luffy versus Kaido action. I don't know 100%, but that's just what I'm thinking. But yeah, this has been the chapter review, and I'll see you next time. Okay, guys, bye.